Good morning.
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 Selamat pagi.
Pagi.
Wait a minute. Selamat pagi means good morning. So, I see people are already starting the drum roll, Gary. Let's start a little bit of politics, but they're starting the drum roll. On, you know, all of the good things they're going to get. All the stuff they want. I mean, that means get the Senate, I know.
But the president is making it very complicated.
The president's making it complicated for the transition team.
Right, for the country, not the transition team.
For the country too. Yeah, that I think.
Good news today. Pfizer.
Pfizer, that's good news.
Came out that day.
I bet you Trump will say that's because.
Well, you can. Well, you see, at the end of the day, if he plays the president and act the president, then he could at least take credit to say that at least he did promise that there would be a vaccine ready sometime soon. Now, it's not ready to be taken yet today or tomorrow.
I saw it 90% effective.
But it won't be ready until probably early next year to be utilized. So it's not like it's something going to happen tomorrow.
But still, it's what he promised. And the economy is exploding. How about that?
But if he put it, but now it's exploded not because of him. It's exploding on the possibility that there's a vaccine and that there's a new
president and a vaccine.
That's what triggers in the economy, right? The Wall Street right now. It's
Wall Street. We should stop calling it the economy because my stock went up.
It is the economy.
But when my stock goes up, I am going to bonus friends and people and charities and stuff, but
well, we want that shit keep
it's
going
not really
up.
the economy. It's just the stocks.
We
just
want it
the
to keep
companies.
No, it's the economy, and the world is also being very.
I love you too.
The world is being very receptive towards that. You know, people feel a bit more comfortable.
Did you wave at Instagram when we cut it?
I will. I'll get to it in a minute.
So, brother Gary Mohammed, I would ask you.
Iran feel good.
Who?
Iran.
Iran, of course, Iran feels good.
They feel good.
China feels good.
No. China has not yet contacted the president-elect.
They will.
Well, of course they will, but they
Chinese are gotta feel good because there's got to be a discussion about trade, but it can't be the same.
But the numbers,
Trump,
Russell, that's
sure. You mad at Trump about his trade deal with China?
Well, the trade deal with China has been a mess.
I'm talking about his intention to.
His intention was to get back at. Well, it's quite frankly, Chomp bamboozles us because his intention was to attack China, to destabilize China. But at the end of the day, his trade deals and all the deals that he has made has now cost more jobs for the American people, and it has caused instability in the region and has made China more stronger than it was 4 years ago.
I don't know why unstabilizing another has anything to do with empowering us.
Well, you know, it's
I go to China. I go to China often now. Right? I've been to 4 or 5 cities recently, right, over the last year, and just right before the end of last year, and I saw a lot of people who lived in poverty coming out of poverty. It's their business how they govern. I really have a strong opinion. I don't know why we have to force our system of government on other people, but I saw people, although they lived in an authoritarian government, I saw people who, in 1,400,000,000 people. I saw that hundreds of millions of people had come out of poverty. Right. And they cared more about their health care and their education and the lifestyle shift than they did about their control over their government.
They're making advancement.
That was them.
They're making advancement, but there's no question that there are some fundamental issues with their governance and how China is governed.
Of course, but it's not our job.
But yeah, it's not our job to judge or to criticize. I think our job right now is to get America right. And that's what we want to do.
I have a subject today that I want to talk about. I want to talk about legacy, something I never discussed. Like I never cared about legacy. Then I realized it's for your children. It's for other kids and next generation so they can learn and remember if there's a legacy, not my own, but if there is one.
You have a legacy.
Right, but yeah, perhaps. But God will write my legacy.
Unfortunately, nigga, it's gonna take a nigga. Ain't no God.
Well, God will.
God and a nigga gonna write that shit, but ain't no God. It's you.
Brother Gary Mohammed, the minister, will be surprised at your language. Yeah, some nigga will write my legacy when I'm dead. I don't have to write my legacy while I'm alive. But I realize people care, and recently, it's just been on my mind, and especially last night. So I want to talk about something that I just got involved in. I was involved, but not paying attention. And I want to talk about the Hip Hop Museum. Let me see if I can call.
But keep in mind,
I want some people.
Your legacy.
My legacy.
Your legacy is your work.
Oh shit. Yeah. My legacy is my work.
And it's hip hop. It's what hip hop is. It's for all those millions of persons that you have given opportunity to. That's your legacy.
Go up. See who's on there.
So,
morning. See who wants to talk about hip hop.
At the end of the day.
Wait a minute. Good. This one.
Simone is there.
Nana. Nana is. That's why. Because I told her to call in.
Which one?
This girl here. It says unable to join.
Right.
It says you're unable to join. Simone Reyes.
Of course, our Simone is always.
Yeah, she's always on
there.
there. But I was.
But that's your legacy, Russell. Your legacy is the work that has been done
But
already.
I don't care about my legacy. My children, perhaps, but
you're talking about legacy.
I'm not ready to check out just yet, so we ain't gonna worry about my legacy.
But legacy is the institutions in which you build. That's legacy. Harvard is a legacy.
Go back. I saw Carmen Ashurst, and we're talking legacy. She's
not here yet.
The president of the Hip Hop Museum. She is here. See, Radiantly Nana. I want to speak to also Rocky. I'm going to call him, tell him to call in. But I want to talk about the Hip Hop Museum because they just broke ground. That's why it's so important. Send a request. You see, Carmen is Nana. Go ahead. Is that at the top? There she is, right there. And it says unable to join. Carmen, do you know how to use? Press the button. Let's see. It won't join. She's unable to join.
Well, we gotta wait until
request. Well, she has to request. She doesn't have to, but she should request.
It would be most appropriate if she.
So the Hip Hop Museum, I saw the meme or the moving meme. What do you call it? The video, but it was on Instagram, and it was all the images, and it's going to be interactive, and it's going to be in the Bronx. And this guy Rocky, we used to give hip hop parties in the '70s before rap made records, and he would use DJ Hollywood. And I would use DJ Hollywood to be the stars of our parties. Eddie Chiba, Hollywood, and he picked a group of other Bronx rappers and hip hop, and he was one himself. DJ Rocky Buchanan was DJ Rocky, and he had a big following. But Hollywood, I'd try to book Hollywood, and he'd have him already. And so that to me, his focus went every single day to work. Until now, they're breaking ground. So that to me now becomes important. I want to see them build that museum. They're breaking ground already, and I'm excited for him and for Carmen, who was the first female president of Def Jam, the only female president of Def Jam, one of the first female presidents of any music label. And she now is the president of the Hip Hop Museum. Rocky is the founder. So I like the work they're doing. I noticed yesterday they had a meeting with Leo.
And Def Jam was probably one of the few labels at that time in those early days was there enough to hire a woman as its president because
one of the few.
Because nobody had no woman. It was a male chauvinistic society.
Yeah, but we had
It was a male society, and so no question about it. So again, kudos to
Cassandra Bills. They're unable to join, Carmen. I wanted her to be the first person on this morning. I spoke to her, and it says unable to join, but she's watching. Look and see if what's Rocky's in. What is Rocky's?
The thing about it, your guests are coming. Technology. Not all of them savvy to technology.
Well, you build a hip hop. It's all going to be very
the time zone
tech savvy. The hip hop museum will be.
Sometimes you get them the wrong time zone also because you're not really keeping
up.
You're not keeping up with
I
your
know
time
what
either.
It's an hour time difference.
Well, for example, it is now 6:31
it's 6:31.
But you told them 6:30, so it's only 6:31.
Oh, but still Carmen is on there, but unable to
but
join.
It's 6:31. You said, 6:30.
Okay,
6:30, 6:35.
Gary, something you don't know much about hip-hop history. Before they were rap records. Before they were rap records. I know you a little bit.
I know enough that
they were rappers. And Hollywood and Grandmaster Flash and Curtis Blow and Lovebug Starsky and Busy Bee Starsky and
Cool
Herc, right?
That's right.
All of these hip-hop figures created a culture, and the promoters, I was a promoter, Rush Productions, and I would give the parties and the artists would perform. And it was a time where we had to build our own because what we heard on the radio was YMCA and, I Love America, Patrick Juvette. I remember that song because he used to annoy the fuck out of me.
You used to give good parties, though, right?
Yeah, I gave good parties. But it was really a time of change where people did things on their own. And the reason they did it because no one else
was doing it for them.
We were locked out. Uncle Gary Radio. That's what they want to see. And I'm gonna have to edit this when this becomes a podcast.
It's going to get there. I promise you. You got to give it time.
There she is. I want to speak to Carmen. There she is. Send that request. Because I want to hear the progress.
One of your. But how many of these guys are still alive, Rusty? You talk about legacy.
Not that many have died.
DJ Hollywood. He's still
Hollywood's alive.
Good
morning, Carmen.
Good morning.
Oh, look, she had a big smile, but bad reception. Look how she's whispering.
Yes.
What the fuck? Carmen can't hear you.
How's the volume on this? Is it good?
The volume, check the volume. Let's make sure our volume is good. Don't tell me you ain't got the volume up, man.
That'd be not.
That would be terrible. It's up loud as it can go. Carmen?
Go ahead again. Let me see.
Yeah, volume's up. Carmen, you got to pause because.
Hello?
Hello.
Okay, there's as loud as it can go.
Hello.
Hi, Carmen. Hi.
Hi, Russell.
Look, it's the visual.
Can you hear me?
How are you?
Carmen, can you hang up and call back?
No.
Our visual is not.
Our visual is bad.
This is a woman. This is the president of Def Jam.
The president of Def Jam. So what do you want to do? Make her call back?
Yeah, just tell her hang up.
She's okay. It's clearing up.
The people are not seeing her face properly.
We can see your face a little bit. It's a little
You
blurry.
can, but the public.
The public will see her face. We'll do something. Carmen, tell us about the Universal Hip Hop Museum and where you are in its development.
The Universal Hip Hop Museum. We have an exhibit already that is in the Bronx. It's called Revolution of Hip Hop. Our main building will be Revolution of Hip Hop is an exhibit that exists already at the Bronx Terminal Market. We have tourists coming up. We're just reopening after the pandemic this week. We have, in fact, the exhibit right now is about the Rush Def Jam early days and Disco Fever and Lovebug Starkey and all your friends. Lovebug Starkey, all your friends are being represented right now this month. Lovebug Starsky is right there, right? And for the last 6 months, it was 74 through 79. Now we're doing 80 to 84. In December next month we break ground. We will be opening in 2024, so it will be a 4-year building process. We will have 52,000 square feet. Right now we have 25,000 square feet. 2,500 square feet, right? But we will be going to 52,000 square feet. And we are now trying to raise money to expand our reach and our efforts. We have education programs that we're running in this space now. And we're doing wonderfully well, but we need more support.
Well, I'll send you some money. I sent you a little bit. I'll send you some more before it all goes down. I saw that you met. This is what one of the things that stuck in my head is that you met with Leo Cohen at YouTube.
He came up to the
I saw his note to you. I want to change.
On last Friday, he came with Kevin Lyles. So both Google and YouTube came with Leor, and then Kevin came from 300. And Kevin Lyles has just joined our board of directors as of this weekend. So we're very happy. We have you're going to be speaking with Chuck D today, because Chuck is one of our ambassadors, as is
I'm going to be speaking to Chuck D at about
Nas is also involved.
Nas is involved. Good. See, this is what I wanted to share. The fact that you guys are building. I remember, Carmen, just a piece of information. I remember the first time I visited the Rock and Roll Museum. And when I went there, it was because Run DMC was inducted. Inducted. Run DMC was not indicted.
Two different things.
Different things. And then I went back when Public Enemy was inducted, and back again when the Beastie Boys were inducted. And I kept saying, when are they going to let LL Cool J in? And
LL Cool J is one of our ambassadors, and he's been doing a lot of work for us. He helped us get connected with the Smithsonian and a bunch of other things. He's been very helpful to us.
Yes. He's also been overlooked, in my opinion, by the Rock and Roll Hall of Fame. I'm sure they must have gave him his shit by now, but it was years that they had not inducted him into the Rock and Roll Hall of Fame, despite all the great work that he's done. So I'm so happy we have a hip-hop museum, and I'm so happy that a woman is the president.
Yeah.
You've been the president before. When you were the president of Def Jam, you really, really inspired me and everybody around us. And I think that Julie Greenwald, who's now the most powerful woman in the music industry, had to take a lesson out of your book to get there. So thank you. What are your thoughts about our first woman president?
Vice President.
Vice President.
She's going to get there.
No, I was president.
Don't say that.
She will get to the president.
Oh, but she's not like you said the other day.
Oh, no, I wasn't thinking that way, man. No, I wouldn't do that. That's my nigga Joe. I would know.
All right, Joe's not going nowhere.
Joe ain't going.
But what'd you say?
I was president of Def Jam, and I'm chairman of the board at Universal Hip Hop Museum.
Oh, well, excuse me. The chairman of the
So
board.
Carmen, as a woman and one that started it out early, you were there when many women did not, even had the thought about leading a major record label, and you did Def Jam. You were there when it was among men, and today to see almost 40 years or later, we now have a woman vice president. What do you as a woman feel when you saw that day?
Well, I felt like she was standing on the shoulders of many other people, of many other women, to whom she gave credit. But she is now taking us to a whole other level. She has moved us to another space entirely. We have now she broke a glass ceiling, but she did more than that, because she has made it possible for us to dream better, and also for us to just practically make decisions that we're going to move up in the world and do it. So she's an example that we can all follow, and she's also got the politics that we need in order to take this generation to another stage of stability, to another stage of wealth. She's engaged in that struggle. She has been for a long time. I think she's going to help Biden both bring Black people in, but bring women in and bring a new generation into the political process. So I think it's a wonderful thing.
Carmen, I could not agree with you more, but I think also the fact that you is now the president of the Hip Hop Museum and playing a critical role to ensure that the legacy, the chairwoman, to ensure the legacy of hip hop, an industry that birthed out of a struggle, out of a movement that where there were no vacancy, and this industry created a vacancy, and to see that you're coming to safeguard it, much kudos to you again. Another woman protecting the family, because at the end of the day, hip hop needs protection, and it is good that you're spearheading that initiative to let the world know how hip hop started, what hip hop contributes, and the fact that many of us are where we are today. It's because of hip hop. So much kudos to you, my sister.
Thank you, Carmen. I love you. And I'll
but
call you
hip-hop
offline.
has been a voice for Black young people, and has been a voice for young people for 30-something years, and we are continuing in that process.
We love you, Carmen. Thank you so much.
Thank you
Keep
so
up
much.
the good work.
I'll call you offline. I think we got Rocky and a bunch of people. Let's see.
All right.
I wanted to have this discussion.
We love you.
Thank you so much. She was the first person. That's the first person. Let me see. Adrienne. Look at this. Cassandra Mills, right there. Let's get Cassandra Mills on set. She said, yeah. And then Swati. Let's do Cassandra. Because Cassandra was there.
There were a lot of folks that were there.
Yes. We request her. Help face. Right. I bet she don't want to get on.
Maybe she don't want to be like, Russell, what are you trying to do to me right now? Don't be showing me up.
I noticed Black women in general, you don't be just FaceTiming motherfuckers out of nowhere. They gotta get themselves together. But Cassandra has the most beautiful skin, looks 12.
It's a good time to celebrate women. There's a lot with the voting rights. There's so much to be celebrating this year. And to be honest, as a man, I feel good. And Russell, we commend you, because you have really, you have done so much for women.
Hi, Russell.
There's Cassandra.
Hi, Russell.
Hi, darling. How are you?
Great. How are you?
Good.
Black woman.
I'm so proud of you.
Oh,
I'm so proud of you. And everything you've been doing.
Cassandra, I heard you almost changed your last name one time.
Yeah. The-
All right. I want to tell you a story. She got married, and then she ended up managing Stephanie Mills. So she was Cassandra Mills managing Stephanie Mills. And that's when I met her. This was a lot of years ago.
Yeah.
We ended up spending a lot of quality time together.
Yeah.
She was just beautiful. Everybody's stunning. She walking around, everybody, oh, shit. Like, that's my girl.
I see you glued to your TV, though, Cassandra. I see you watching what's going on.
Oh, hey, I'm in the office making it happen. But that right there,
yeah,
that's just the real deal. And it's so exciting that the museum is really taking flight. That's exciting, Russell. You have to be over the moon.
I'm very excited. To hear that the current exhibit is about a period where we started Def Jam.
Yeah.
So Run DMC and
Love Bug, Scarsky,
all the rappers from pre-rap records.
Yeah.
Love Bug and Busy Bee and DJ Hollywood and all those guys are part of the current exhibit, which is good. And the fact that they're building to 52,000 square feet, that's as big as the Rock and Roll Museum.
And I think it is important that a lot of
And it needs to be that big.
Yeah,
it needs to be 100 square feet because hip hop is going into the 2050. You know, it's going to be here. It's not going anywhere.
That's right.
It is the new rock and roll. It is the consummate #1 music form of choice around the world now over every other format.
That's right.
Next to reggae.
No.
Next to reggae.
Talking about numbers. I know you want to be Jamaican.
No, but reggae.
No. It is the #1. We're talking about numbers here. That's what
truly.
I'm living on.
Listen, I take my hat off to hip hop.
Okay.
Yeah.
Okay, I got to get Kevin Lyles right now. I'm so happy to see you. God bless you.
You too. I love you.
Love you too.
And thanks for your contribution, sister. Bless you.
You're welcome. Bye-bye.
People usually
so much powerful woman that we had back then who was
oh my God, she was a powerful woman.
When you really look at your Def Jam staff, you remember?
My Def Jam staff, I had a president who was a woman. I had the head of A&R who was a woman. Yeah. I had the head of marketing was a woman. We had
your office manager was a woman.
There was a article in Sister to Sister that had Sister to Sister? What's Jamie's magazine?
Sisters.
Right. Yeah. There was an article. Press Adrian and check on him today. No, it's not. Let's go forward. Because I'm going to get Adrian, but I want to see who else. Because I'm waiting on Rocky. I'm waiting on you. But we had an article that the women of Def Jam, you can Google the picture from that cover. Let me just finish this statement. And it was like the whole company Def Jam in 1990, whatever it was run by women.
Of course it was. And they played a very intricate role. Julia, everybody. I mean, they were there. They were the wind in the company. Yeah.
How you doing, Big Bro?
Oh man, I'm good, man. I want to first apologize. I didn't mention our sister that's in the wheelchair. She was inboxing me. She was in a hospital. So just wanted to see if we could send some prayers out to her and her family. This was the day before yesterday. So
we spoke with her a couple of days ago.
I'm gonna call her and check on her.
Yeah, she told me that.
We used to have a prayer thing. We meditate in the mornings and have discussions about. And during that time, we met a beautiful girl in a wheelchair, and the community of people who would get on these lives got together and bought her a wheelchair. We all did a GoFundMe and bought her a wheelchair. And then we spoke to her.
Yeah, I did.
She inspired us.
Yeah.
Because everybody's complaining about their situation, but she had to struggle with her son, struggle with her family, all from a wheelchair and a debilitating disease. But yet she was happier than everybody.
Yeah.
She was such a great inspiration to all of us.
Yes, indeed.
And Adrian, thank you for telling me about it. I'm going to check in with her.
Yeah, and listen.
Kevin Lyles is on. They got to pick up Kevin Lyles.
Salute, Kevin Lyles. Salute.
All right, we'll talk back, Adrian. Bless you. Okay.
So, let's get Kevin on real quick. It says it doesn't request, but that's okay. You find them anyway.
Well, the hip hop museum is there.
The Hip Hop Museum is there.
It's Kevin Lau, the Honorable Kevin Lau.
Yeah, and then we got to get Rocky right after, because Rocky.
Well, Kevin Lau is that's a nigga.
The back Kev.
What up, y'all?
What up?
What up? Can you hear me?
Uh-oh. Why don't we shave our beards, Kev?
What are you trying to prove, man?
I don't have
What are
a
you trying to
beard.
prove? Yeah, you got gray on your head. If you have gray on your head, then I can.
On his face.
On your face.
The
His head, too. A little bit of hair.
It's
It's gray.
the face of the problem. It's the face of the problem. What are
Hey,
you trying to prove?
Russ, it's getting cold out here.
Well, I ain't gray. I got a shaver. I love you, and I was really happy to see that you joined the Hip Hop Museum board because the legacy and first of all, you being on the board means everything to the entire hip hop community. It's a legitimate stamp, another stamp on its credibility, and I really appreciate that because I love that Rocky. You've been watching, and I was watching Rocky work so hard for all these years to get this to this point, and you now joining the board gives it a lot of gas. You and then Carmen as chairman, the people joining on with Rocky is helping him realize and us all realize this dream.
Well, first shout out to all the foundation that you guys have laid. And when you have an unwavering soul like Rocky's, who believe that we should be, our history and our culture should be memorialized, God gives them all the gifts and all the strength to take every no and turn it into a yes. And so I'm just, in the true words of you, I'm just here to serve. I'm just here to make sure I do my part.
He's so humble. I want to say, first of all, some of y'all don't know Kevin because Kevin, I don't know why, they made a movie about me when I was a kid. And so I've been celebrated more than I deserve. So people have seen me in the spotlight like I sing. But Kevin has made Def Jam wouldn't have been shit without Kevin, who was the president also. So the first guest that we've ever had on our first podcast, because today I'm going to actually launch the podcast. I think we're going to try to launch it. All the previews up until now. And the first guest was Carmen, who was the first woman, black woman, president of Def Jam. And the second president, Def Jam, black president, is Kevin Lau. And Kevin built the company, for those who don't know. And then he built the company. He did all the groundwork. And I got to tell you a story, Kevin, because you would never tell it. Kevin was the servant's servant.
Always. Still is.
And he wrote a book called Make It Happen. It was about his process. But let me just tell you, he was the guy that he wasn't even an intern. He was a street team member who worked his way up into an office as an intern, who worked his way up as a promotion assistant, to promotion director, head of promotion. And when he was the head of promotion, he was such a great servant. He was such a good giver that everybody looked to him, even though his position was what we would say under theirs, they looked to him for leadership.
As always.
Because a good servant is a leader. The great leaders are servants. And you, Kevin, have been the kind of leader that serves, that brings the coffee to everybody. So let's get popping. Let's get this shit moving. And to me, it was inspiring watching your journey. And now I want to say one more thing to the youngsters who don't know what they're looking at. The hottest company in the game, he's running 300 right now.
Well, there's no question. But Kevin is that type of guy. He comes from a humble beginning in Baltimore. He has always stayed at, when he was in high school, he's always been that humble. He's a team player. And he never blows his horn.
I reposted it today. It said that something about the team. Because he always, what did you say, Kevin? What did I post this morning?
No, I just said, in order to have success, you got to play your position, no matter what that position is. And Russell, I always said, they asked me today, what was that moment in your life? And I that was produced by you. And when I heard Sucker MC, it didn't just make me want to be in the music business. It made me want to be of service to a culture because they look like me, sound like me, talk like me. And I got to know you through doing what I did down there you channeled a life of giving and of service, and with success becomes responsibility. Rush Philanthropic, Jewish Association, all the things that you introduced me to provided me with a platform to say that it can't just be about me, because the more you allow people to play their position, you guys. I remember you said, well, everybody going to Kevin's office. Well, we got to make him president. You know what I mean? And it wasn't something that I asked for. No, it was.
You didn't want it.
No,
you said it might ruin. Let me tell you what the people, because it's such an interesting statement. He said, it's working really well now. I don't want to ruin the corporate culture. Everybody would come to his office and say, Kev, how do you do this? How do you do that? That's what a servant does. He's a leader, right? Well, every leader is a servant and vice versa. And that he taught me that. And I knew it in my heart, but he actually, when he said, I don't want to be president because it might change something.
That's what made Def Jam grow, Russia, and become what it did. Because if you look at it, during the tenure when Kevin was the president, you had Herb Gotti that you had to deal with. These are all personalities.
You had to deal with.
Yeah, because they were bigger than their personalities were bigger than themselves. Herb had a big ass. He was a humble guy, but then you had Jay. You had all these other different labels that you had to deal with.
Kevin managed. Let me tell you what Kevin
managed personalities.
We had Rough Riders, which had DMX and Eve, and it was a rough team. And they were people who needed mentorship. Yeah. They were great. D and Y were great, but they needed some mentorship. Herb Gotti joined Murder Inc. as well as was Murder Inc. Right. We had to beg him to change the name of his company to Inc. People were getting shot at and shit, right? Then we had a team. We had some guys in L.A.
You had Damien
who taught us how to be
and Jay, which
were quiet.
But Damien was a knucklehead. Well, not a knucklehead. Damien Dash.
Oh, Damien Dash wasn't easy.
He was not an easy guy.
It wasn't easy, was he?
He was very egoistic, and he had to walk into the office, and Kevin had to
Dame will tell you. Dame says, I'm an asshole. You ain't gotta argue with that. Damien Dash was not an easy fucker to deal with, and Kevin managed all of these personalities. That's right. And empowered all of these record companies. That's right. It was the second time Leo and I had fucked that up once. Mm-hmm. We started something called RAL. This is how Leo became a partner in Def Jam, because we started this label. So I folded his company into our company. Mm-hmm. And we started this label. We gave away all these labels. We gave De La Soul a label, or Prince Paul. We gave Jam Master Jay a label, which produced Onyx. Mm-hmm. We gave all these guys labels, and we fucked them all up. We couldn't manage them all. I think that EPMD's label came with you, right? Eric Sermon came. But so Kevin, the second time we did, after we had fucked it up once, we folded RAL, Russell and Leo, Rush Associated labels, into Def Jam. So Leo became a full-time operative of Def Jam. And then Kevin helped us to really manage people and companies. Kev, do you know that we empowered others is how we got empowered. We would never have been to Def Jam without you doing that.
Well, no, Russell, what I think it was, and you have to understand what you guys were trying to do at that time took more manpower and took more people of service. And all you guys gave me the opportunity to do is be part of a team. And again, we didn't do this by ourselves. We had a lot of people that were around us that decided to live a life of service, because you showed us through service you can accomplish anything in life. So it wasn't that you guys failed. You guys actually went through a process to help us have a better process based on the amount of people that we could put around and resource. And it takes when you're in a young business, which even at that particular time, we might have been around for 12 years or whatever it was, 10 years, whatever it was, it still was a young business, a young culture, a young environment for people to actually understand what it is to be in the business of music. And so a lot of the personalities that you guys were able to put together provided for that moment. And I say that to say, Russell, your whole life, you knew we had a music that would change the world. You knew we had a music that would do more for race and politics around the world. You knew we had such a special opportunity, but you never had the opportunity to experience it where it was the #1 music in the world. And this is what you're experiencing for the last 2 years. So as long as I'm alive, I'm going to say thank you, because if it wasn't for your leadership, you're willing to listen, you're willing to learn, you're willing to evolve, and more importantly, you're willing to love, none of this shit would be here. So I just appreciate everything. And I know that you hate me talking about you, and as much as I hate you talking about me, so as much as you talk about me,
remember you brought Damon Dash in my office? I was making Nutty Professor soundtrack, and you brought Damon Dash in my office, and you played me Ain't No Nigga. You played me Jay-Z for the first time.
Yeah.
And you know, stupid me, I'm yelling, "Who's the girl?" Because I love the Foxy Brown.
Foxy was rocking.
Foxy was amazing on that record, man. I knew. I was like, look at the way, he's great. He sounds like Brooklyn, but she's eating him up. That was my opinion. And you were like, and then you made the deal. And you brought Damon and Jay-Z into the company. You did that.
Well,
and Foxy Brown and Jay-Z did Ain't No Nigga. And it was on Nutty Professor soundtrack. But
yeah, those were the days, Russ. But I always say, you know, I'm 52 now, so I can't rewrite history. I can't remember history. All I can remember, there was a lot of effort and love put into everything that we did, whether it was comedy, poetry, Fat Farm, Baby Fat, gaming, whatever we did, there was a lot of love. And what I think you're speaking about, what was special about Fox, and what's special about Hove, and special about X, and special about, go down the whole list of that era, Ludacris coming into, you know, Nutty Professor, Rush Hour, all the things, every one of those things had love. No matter what went on, and everybody, I tell everybody, I love Damon. I love Damon for who he is, what he was, how he did it, because you needed that at a moment in time, similar to you needed Malcolm X and Martin Luther King. I love everything that DNY bought and having X, because you needed that aggressive point of view to get us where we are. Similar to how you needed Barack and how the country got polarized by Donald Trump. And now we have Biden to say, hey, you need these catalysts around the world to help us get to a better place. And all I could say is no matter what you ever say, if it was up to me, you're always going to be chairman of hip hop. You're always going to be someone that if we don't learn by and live by,
it's the truth. Say the thing. You talk about legacy. This is about legacy.
Talk about the guy that I love. So,
Kevin.
Let me thank you for all the kind words, Kevin. Yeah, but I gotta say, there would have been. I'm not going to keep saying because it sounds like we're not. You know, we just pat each other on the back. But there's no Def Jam without Kevin Lyles. And when I tell you the story of him walking,
and there's no
Jay-Z and Damon Dash in my office. Right. When I tell you the story of him mentoring all the managers of all the companies, he did it like he said out of love because he hadn't had the experience doing it. But the idea of giving, and he was such a great giver, he became the greatest getter, and we became the greatest company because, as you said, love.
But I think,
that was really
but Russell, I think Kevin is highlighting something here today that I think is of importance. This segment is about legacy. And in all due respect, I know you are a very humble guy. You're not about taking credit, but you're a rusher. You know, you rush. You're always rushing. But in truth, you have to soak up some of this because we fail as a culture to recognize and acknowledge and pay homage to those who paved the way. No one is perfect, but you have done so much for our community, for our culture, that we are indebted to you. And what Kevin is saying today, I know he's saying it from the heart, but there are millions of Kevin Lyles that would like to have the opportunity, Russell, to say, we're not going to wait until your ass going in a grave to say how nice you were. We're going to tell you that shit right in front of your face because we are here today because of you. You gave us opportunity. You made us CEOs. You helped us to build an empire. Nigga, take the shit. It's your legacy.
Brother Gary,
thank you, Kevin, for that shit, nigga.
That's what I say. This all takes us right back to the fact that we now have a hip hop museum and we have some work to do and continue building. You know, Mr. Farrakhan said God will write his legacy. And I repeated that earlier, and I just thought about where it came from. I don't know where I wrote it. I said, legacy is important. It's how I began talking about the hip hop museum. And that I hadn't paid attention to legacy, and I didn't care, and God would write it. But then I remembered it was from Minister Farrakhan who said God would write it, because I have a movie we made. I made a movie on his life, and Netflix gave it back to him because they changed their mind about airing it. But it's a beautiful story about his life. And that movie is on the shelf. It will be seen one day, and his legacy will be written differently from the way they are trying to frame it now, I believe. So anyway, God will write his legacy and God will write yours, Kev. But I wanted you to get your props today
And I just wanted to thank you for all you've done for me, and thank you for taking the time to speak to us.
Thanks for what he did for hip hop.
Love you.
Well, yeah, he's on the board.
And I think young people see Kevin Laws on the street, they hear the name, but they don't understand the role that he played. Because he will never say, I played that role.
He said, he likes it. But Will said, but listen, the Hip Hop Museum,
we'll talk about it.
just like LL Cool J was not in the Rock and Roll Hall of Fame for a very long time. I don't know if he is now.
Yeah, he is.
And I was so upset. I just said, but you know, they decided who they wanted to put in, and that's okay. But now we have our own museum we're building, and I think that that's great. And thank you for joining the board and for what you did. Because you will be all in this museum.
That's right.
Because we know you, and we see you and appreciate you.
And we love you, nigga.
And we love you. Thank you.
Hey, Russ, in closing, I just wanted to take one moment to say, you know, with everything going on, the reason why we don't have to worry about what's going to be written and the whole nine, because the life we live is a life of service. And until you understand your purpose on this earth, your purpose is not to do what you think needs to be done. Your purpose is to do what God put you here for. So when
I lost it.
he gave us our eyes, our hearts, our mind. He gave us all these gifts. And for people not to share those gifts and those strengths with the world is disservice. So I hope that anyone's listening continue to understand that with success comes responsibility. And all praise to you, Russell. All praise to all of you guys who've laid the foundation. Our job is not done. God bless you guys.
Thank you so much.
Thank you, Kev. God bless you, man. And you know, all praise is due to the Most High. Respect, brother.
See, you know what? Chuck these.
Well, listen, this is all about life.
Where's Mr. Chuck? Oh, yo, there's right there, Universal Hip Hop Museum. I think that must be Rocky, right there.
Yeah, we're gonna get.
Let's get him, because I want to get. I do what needs to be done. That's right. God does speak to you and through you, and your efforts are His efforts.
Yeah, but I think,
So
Russell, but it's important.
Look at Rocky. Look at this one.
Yeah,
That's DJ Rocky.
Cool DJ Rock, Russ.
Cool DJ Rocky.
Rocky Rock.
Used to take Hollywood. I used to want to book Hollywood, but you'd already have him booked. And you were from the far Bronx. And I say far because it was up further than I used to go often. And then I was from Queens. So we operating from different parts of the world, but we were there long before they were rap records together. And
That is true.
So today I wanted to celebrate you. I had this just last night. I thought about it. That's why this morning I called you and said you want to jump on. Because I had not thought about legacy. And then, you know, and I spoke to you, and I sent you a little check. I want to raise you some money now and be your supporter. And I realized that kids need to know, and it needs to be told properly. You know, need someone who was there. And you've been so laser focused on this shit. Laser focused. And now I see you realizing your dream, and I better get on board. I just spoke to Kevin, who is on board with you. And Leo, I saw a note from him, which made me really happy that you and Carmen had met with Leo, because that's YouTube money. He's the head of YouTube, of Google. Google?
Google.
Right. But the head
And YouTube. YouTube Music. YouTube Music.
Right. So Leo's job, Leo's one of my dear friends. I could not be able to tell him what his job is nutty. But Leo Cohen could really make it happen for you. Him and a few of the other people I'm going to try to get involved should be able to close it out. And you build that 52,000 square feet. Tell us about it. Let me not talk.
I don't think it's just Leo, Russ. I think we got
No, there's a lot of people, but they got money over there.
No, but it's
a vast group of
I think
people.
the hip hop community should come together to protect and help create a
Yes,
house
a
that
lot of the
is
hip hop
legacy.
community will donate, support, make it happen. Yeah.
Those guys.
All those guys.
LL Cool J. I mean, we got to remember where we're coming from, and we got to take care of our home. We can't wait for somebody else to do it.
No, but the institution money is always helpful.
All of these big
It's
companies
true.
that benefit from us also should put money into it. We need an aggressive
Let him talk.
plan.
Tell us about the museum and your vision.
Well, you know, this journey started almost 9.5 years ago, Russ. And, you know, I think you remember that first phone call with me, you, and Gary Harris. rest in peace,
God
Gary
bless him.
Harris.
Yeah.
And, you know, if it wasn't for Gary, to be quite honest, I don't know if we would have a museum, because I used to have some heated arguments with Gary at 4 o'clock in the morning. He used to call me up and say, yo, Rock, if you ever give up on this fucking museum of yours, don't ever fucking call me again, because you got the hot sauce right now. And I was like, Gary, I said, you don't understand how hard it is to convince people to get behind this project. It was like a locomotive, an old locomotive where you had to put the coal in to get the train to run fast. And every time I would call somebody up, they were like, yo, come on, dog, another museum? You know, because there had been a couple different attempts to get a hip hop museum off the ground. I don't know if you know that. And for whatever reason, they didn't work. They didn't make it.
Let me interject for 1 second. The imagination is God, they say. But, you know, unless we're enlightened, it's hard work, dedication, resilience, and faith. Your resilience and faith, you know, is why you're where you are. And people can have, you know, Gary, I used to argue with Gary all the time, because Gary was more brilliant, smarter than everybody. Right?
Oh yeah, he was crazy smart. The smartest guy I ever know.
Ever. And Gary he worked at Def Jam, he worked at Sugar Hill, he worked at Arista, he worked at Giant, he worked
EMI.
at EMI, he worked at Jive, he had 12, 15 jobs. And Gary would come on and he'd get a hit record and he'd start painting, right? But he would lose focus. And then he would go to something else, be excited about something else, or something would happen and he'd lose his job. Because he didn't have what you have. He yelled at you to have the very thing that I used to always yell at Gary about. Because Gary was smarter than everybody. He had the best ears. He knew the most. He was the student of the music.
He was a genius. And he didn't really know how to leverage his own genius.
That's right.
He
didn't have the resilience to stay focused on whatever it was that he went to work on. And he gave you that. He would yell at you for the very thing I would yell at him for.
Yep.
That you had the hot sauce.
Yep. And, you know, every day that I would wake up, I would think about, you know, just Gary saying, do not give up on this project. And, you know, it's such an important project because, like you said, it's all about preserving everyone's legacies, not just my legacy and your legacy and Lior. It's the guys that put in the hard work to get the culture to become what it was. So the Sal Apatellos, the Kool Hercs, the Grandmaster Flash, the DJ Hollywoods, the Eddie Chibas, all those, the Love Bug Starskys, all those guys that you and I know from when we were very young teenagers that really cracked open what became this global phenomenon. And then, you know, being able to document and tell this story accurately, give them the praise and respect that they deserve is what this museum is all about. And not just, to make the museum seem old, because that's not what it is at all. You know, the museum is about preserving the entire global evolution of hip hop. You were such an instrumental, catalyst to take hip hop from what it was when it was just in the parks and in the clubs.
That's right.
Def Jam accelerated the popular appeal of hip hop. You know, from the very first record with Tila Rock that you and Rick Rubin and then LL Cool J coming right behind that. I mean, it just took off. And then obviously Run DMC, the story of hip hop became so synonymous with lifestyle because it went from just being on the record, it went into motion pictures with Wild Style, Beat Street, and Crush Groove and other films that came after those. And then the fashion segment just exploded all around the world. So everybody wanted to look and feel like they were a hip hop star. And the museum is able to tell that story in a way that other institutions are not able to do that. So it's very important that, we all get together. We all try to bring this project to the finish line. We've raised a lot of money so far. And thank you for your donation, Russell. And I didn't get a chance to tell you that personally, but just being able to know that I have your support means so much to me, because I remember the days when we were promoting clubs and you would do the Sesame Ballroom or the Hotel Diplomat, and I'd be around the corner, and Jerry Productions would be down the block, and we were all competing with each other, but we were all trying to do what we really love, which was to promote the passion of this new lifestyle, which we call hip hop now. But back then we weren't calling it hip hop. We were just calling it these guys on the microphones talking jive, right? So, and then I'll tell you a quick story. I had moved down to Texas, and I don't know if you remember this story, but I had moved down and I was working in television in Beaumont, Texas. And you and Curtis came. You were doing one of your first shows promoting Christmas rap, and you were playing in a rinky-dink club that had the bullshit speakers. And I came up to you, I said, yo, and you were like, what the hell are you doing down here in Beaumont, Texas? I said, well, I work in television. You said, please help us try to fix this sound system because it was terrible. So, listen, we all had a journey that we need to basically preserve and celebrate. And, if it wasn't for you, Russell, taking the steps that you did,
Everybody contributed, but Rock, I just want to
right, but
thank you. Look, listen, let me just say something. I got to cut you off. What you're doing, you got the football, and we're all passing you as much support and blocking for you. So we want to build that museum. We want to make sure it gets done.
That's right.
And I'm committing to you that I will break my neck too. I will make the calls. I will do whatever background work I can do. And I want to see you build that museum. And I want to see you tell your story and the story of all of the artists. Many have passed.
Yes.
So that's a very important thing to me. And I'm very, very blessed to have seen your journey and then to see you take this idea.
Initiative, yeah.
There's no way it's going backwards.
That's
Other
right.
people may have tried, but you will deliver.
That's right.
So I just want to thank you for that. I got Chuck D coming on right now. I love you. And
Awesome.
God bless you. Thank you.
Thank you, baby. Appreciate it.
And
Thank you.
It's a legacy, Russell. It's a legacy.
I'm so proud of it. Okay, Chuck D, my dad is still in his interview. He's thinking he would be finished 4:15. That's okay. What time is it now?
It's a legacy for our children.
Oh, it's 4:14.
It's a
Okay,
legacy.
Dominique.
It's a legacy for our children. So
Let's see what Bishop has to say.
We are very thankful about it.
Wadi, Mana. So,
We're very
legacy.
thankful. It's a good thing that he's doing, Russell. And I
What
think
he's doing
we
is
need
great.
to we need to rally the hip hop community. Those
We'll
that
do it. We'll make it our
benefit
job.
from it. We have to support our own. We have to be the foundation builders of it. We got to get everybody on board. The writers, the producers.
Nas is on board. LL Cool J is on board.
The writers, the producers, the companies that benefit from hip hop. They have to also.
They're all going to pay.
Everybody got to
We'll make them pay. Fuck that.
It's
We're not going to let nobody
it's
get
not
away.
reparation, but we got to get it done.
Not reparation, but
Man, nigga,
that's why I
your
said
company
corporate. That's
became
why I
cool
talked about
because of
Google
us.
and YouTube. YouTube.
Yeah,
Google's biggest
now.
hip hop.
Exactly. But before there was Google and
So
YouTube,
everybody paid.
there
was
was liquor companies. There was all of these car dealerships. We made things. We made
song,
Pastor
Pastor Cavassier, the song. So everybody pays.
So we made things look sexy and we made it cool. Hip hop said you were okay to sell it. We compounded.
That's right. Pay
you.
I know it sounds rude, but
Now pay up.
everybody, but also you'll benefit by being support systems for this great institution.
Preserving a legacy.
By preserving the legacy and building a museum, there'll be opportunity for you to benefit. If you want your Cavassier to keep selling, or I'm thinking about old songs, or you want to make Adidas hot again, you need to be part of it. You want to Nike, who's making your sneaker today? All of these institutions are built in part and then reaffirm. If hip hop says that a Maybach is hot and a Phantom Rolls Royce, and I remember they parked a Maybach in front of my house and just waited for Kimura to sit in it because they wanted her to drive it around, a driver and a car. And the same thing with a Phantom.
That's right.
Wait, did you hear the story? The same with a Phantom because they wanted to see hip hop drive this car. So this is luxury. And then Coke and Pepsi,
if hip hop decides Pepsi, it's Pepsi.
That's
If
right.
hip hop decides Coca-Cola, it's Coca-Cola.
And if we decide it's water, now we're going to decide it's water. And that is why I think if hip hop says vegan, we're going to be vegan. If hip hop says
Beyonce and Jay-Z
right,
going vegan,
it has made
Jermaine
a difference.
Dupri going
It
vegan.
has made a difference.
Oh, it's
The numbers,
future.
the pendulum has moved.
So hip hop really is
It's a trend.
the best brand building community
There you
in the
go.
world.
That's why they must give us what we want.
Right. That's why they're going to give us what we want. This sounds like a bully, man.
No,
The bully pulpit.
But a part of hip hop was not to sit there and say take the norm.
What is Chuck D doing? Because I really, for 2 days, I've been wanting to talk to Chuck D. Just because I had it in my heart.
When we get Chuck, we're going to get Chuck. You know, it's what it is.
Oh, Simone said we're all getting bonuses. I'm glad to hear that on your live.
Yes, Simone.
All right, well, wait.
We're going to have it up.
I don't have much time. I got to get Chuck, though, because
But if we don't
who
get
is Brother Gary?
if we
Brother Gary Muhammad, I met
Right.
almost 26 years ago.
man.
He's sitting here, 28 years ago. And Brother Gary, I met him at the Black Caucus.
I'm your
at
servant,
Congress.
brother. I'm your servant.
At
I'm your
Congress,
servant.
there was this big attack on hip-hop, and we had this big congressional meeting
With C. Dolores Tucker.
with Dolores Tucker.
Keith
God bless her.
Keith Kincaid at that time, he was the head of Vibe.
But we had Maxine Waters,
Oh, yes.
Auntie
Mama
Maxine,
Yeah.
and all of the
And
Black
Ben
Congress,
Chavis.
and Ben
But
Chavis.
the NAACP was very instrumental in helping to, talk about the hip hop phenomenon. That was one of the phrases that Ben Chavis, coined, the hip hop phenomenon. That hip hop was a hip hop phenomenon.
Yeah, for an older OG like that, a famous civil rights leader to get behind.
And that's
hip-hop.
legacy. Now that's a nigga with some legacy.
Oh my God, brother, we'll get Ben on one day.
We got to talk about Ben because that's a nigga with legacy. He fought for us.
Let's see who's on here because I want to see if Chuck's diet is. Look at Bishop. He's waiting to talk. He's been waiting.
Shall we pray for the
let's
bishop?
check on Bishop.
Let's pray with the bishop.
Because
What kind of bishop is he?
that's his name.
What's going on, bro?
Bishop.
How you doing, big bro?
I'm doing good, man. Hey, man, I
Right,
just
so
wanted to chime in, man, because I heard you was just, I seen you was on here talking to Kevin Lyles, one of your pals.
Yes, sir.
Hey, man, I was just sitting back just thinking, man, you guys got a lot of history ties with each other. And just, just like he said, just paying homage and paying respect on what you all did in the game. It's just amazing. Sitting back, reading some of your books, and then, seeing what you guys had did, as far as the movies, the films, that stuff is inspiring, especially for somebody like myself that's coming into the game and just sitting back and just learning what you guys did.
Well, I said I was not interested in legacy, but hearing that, it becomes more apparent, and because I hear it, but it goes in one ear out the other, because I'm always focused on what next.
Mm-hmm.
God hasn't finished with me yet, I don't think. I think I have a mission to teach people how to live a longer and healthier and happier life. That's my future. I'm building institutions all over the world right now to help people be healthier and happier. I'm writing books on the subject, as you know, and I'm trying to do something new.
Yes.
Not because I don't like the old, but I think some of the old has to be preserved, and that's why I wanted to pay tribute today to the Hip Hop Museum.
Yes.
Thomas Lytle, his name popped up.
Oh, yeah.
So, but his name pops up. So, what they're doing to preserve that legacy needs support, not only from Kevin, who joined the board, or Leo Cohen, who's going to support them too, but through everybody in hip hop. Nas and LL Cool J already on board. So I like that. I want to be a part of helping them to deliver their dream,
Yes.
which is to really build a museum. Because again, I was there. The first rappers that ever got inducted in the Rock and Roll Hall of Fame was Run DMC.
Yeah.
The second was Public Enemy. Third or fourth was the Beastie Boys. And this goes on. So every time I went there, and then they kept saying, when they going to put LL Cool J in? But it was none of us voting.
Yeah.
So none of us decided. So I know LL Cool J might be in by now, or maybe not. They really, nothing wrong with that. That's the Rock and Roll Hall of Fame, and God bless rock and roll. But hip hop needs its own, right? It's its own influence. It's the biggest influence of any music genre in the world. And I see that guy Rock, who you saw, working his ass off for years, and they did a groundbreaking, and they had exhibits up, and they just will not quit.
It's moving.
And the woman who was the president of Def Jam years ago is now the chairman of that organization, and I'm behind them because I want to see it come to fruition.
And I think every one of us who have the opportunity, whether it's to contribute $5, $10 to.
I don't know if they have a GoFundMe. I'll put that up tomorrow.
That should be something that we give the public opportunity, because we all benefit from hip hop.
I just want to have the opportunity to go there.
Well, you're going to get that opportunity, but it's also important for your children to understand what paved the way to where many games.
And also, you know, another thing
we had Barack Obama, the first black president, because of hip hop. We had a semi-wannabe black president, Bill Clinton, because of hip hop. We have to look at the contribution that hip hop made and the battles that they joined. We put the mic down and we took up marching. We took up, fighting. You with the Rockefeller juggler. Over at that time, before now, over 10,000 black and brown persons were able to walk out of jail because of hip hop. You fought that, you led that demonstration. You led that fight. Jay-Z, Dougie Fresh, all of them come together. So I think the story needs to be told. I'm looking forward, Russell, to a day we do a segment on women in hip hop, because there were so many women that came into hip hop from different levels of hip hop. We're just talking about not just the microphone, but we're behind the scene to ensure that Jay-Z,
the most powerful music person, maybe, because she runs all of Warner, is Julie Greenwald, who was the vice president of Def Jam.
And most people, you put her picture up today, most
they
people
would never know who she
is. But
she worked
the
her whole life.
Significant contribution
she was
that she made
at Def Jam.
And then you look at all of them, Foxy Brown. Come on, Foxy. She was up against a male world, but she did it. MC Light. There are so many. So I think at the end of the day, we're going to get there. So, big brother.
Well, Bishop,
it's good.
Bishop, we put him on the phone and we talk. Bishop, thank you for saying that.
Yes,
and,
sir.
I'm glad that it inspires you, because you make me want to go back to work.
And I got one more. I got one more for you, I was going to ask you, what did you thought about with the Def Jam poetry? Bring that back out again.
Well, we did a poetry special for COVID. Just like
yes, I remember that. I remember that.
Yeah. I think that when we take the music away, and the rappers or the young poets, they're all rappers, right? Poets, they're all the same in many ways. Once the music's gone, you got to hear, and everybody hears more deeply what you're saying. And so the poetry, many times, is more insightful than the music.
Yes.
The music might make you want to bounce around. The poetry wants to make you go inside deep. So I always want to see poets or rappers listen intently to what they're giving the world.
That's it.
So they say things that people can't even think because they're afraid.
Yes.
Poets and comedians say things people can't say because they live in this cancel culture and this, but yet the truth comes out of them, whether it be fuck the police or some other inspired set of words comes out of them and lift people up or give people insight into things that otherwise they don't want to think about. So I love it. I got to go because Chuck T is ready.
Well,
all right.
Rusty, you said something. As we're talking a little bit about politics, John McCain. I remember you were in John McCain's office.
Yeah.
And Joe Lieberman. There was the whole issue about censorship and censoring hip hop, the heart.
Yeah.
And John said, my son is a big hip hop fan.
John McCain
in his office. I remember he said, Rusty, my son is a big hip hop fan, and he loved your death poetry. And Russell looked over me and said, because at the time, remember, this is John McCain, this Republican straight up guy who,
I always liked
Arizona.
John
But John has always been another good advocate. Him and Joe Lieberman. Remember
Joe Lieberman and I were pretty good too.
Yeah, but John
McCain was. Yeah, they were both fine, everybody. But John McCain was. That's why I always say people they don't understand. I want to get back to politics for one. I'll say one thing about politics.
Mm-hmm.
Stop judging those who think differently from you.
Mm-hmm.
Stop it. And I say this because look at that Jermaine Dupri. I'm going to talk to him about being vegan. Wait, get Jermaine on here. He probably don't want to pick up. But they're one issue voters. There was Martin Luther King's granddaughter, Jermaine Dupri.
What up?
What up, baby?
What's
I see
happening?
you wearing your mask.
Yeah,
When you coming to fuck with me?
I got to really soon. I see you guys.
Nigga, this is vegan Disneyland.
I already know you done told me 100 million times. I gotta get over
you
there.
ain't never come.
Yeah, I gotta get
I'll
over
be
there.
there before you get here, I'm sure.
Yeah. Nah, definitely not. What's happening?
Well, we were talking earlier about preserving legacy, and Chuck D's going to come on, and I spoke to Kevin Lyle and some others. We're talking about
the legacy, right?
and he's legacy. That's what we're going to get there.
That's true.
The Universal Hip Hop Museum, and LL Cool J and Nas and others are involved. So I wanted to extend an invite to get you involved.
Yeah.
Because I want you to meet Rocky, speak to Carmen. If you remember, she was the president of Def Jam, and they've already opened an exhibit. But the truth is, the museum's starting now in 70s and 80s, right? But it's going to get to you right away because you're coming up.
Yeah.
So you and your legacy will be told. So your children will see what you contributed. One of the greatest producers that ever existed is Jermaine Dupri. Whoever don't know.
No question about it.
Ever.
Thank you.
And,
Thank you.
well, the songs you made will never, ever
Be forgotten.
be forgotten.
Never.
And so your legacy is intact, but we should tell that, not just the song, but the man behind the song.
That's right.
Right? So
And he's another humble guy.
another humble guy.
He's so humble. Now, this is, I mean, you thought Kevin was humble. Now, Jermaine is really humble.
Well, they're both humble equally.
Yeah.
Listen, Jermaine, I wrote another book on the same subject.
I see it.
Jermaine Dupri is a vegan for a long time.
That's why that nigga looks so young. Look at that nigga. He's old, but look at his face.
Yeah, 15 years.
15 years of vegan.
Wow.
Before it was popular. And you know, I was saying that hip-hop is the best brand building community in the world. Tell me about your vegan journey a little bit.
Yeah, I'm from the South, so being in Atlanta, being vegan was like the most unheard of thing in the world. People was like, "Nigga, you vegan?" And niggas in Atlanta ain't vegan, you know what I mean? So it was tough, like it's a Waffle House on every block out here, McDonald's on every corner. I had to learn the city in a different way, find places that I'd never been to. But I stayed with it, you know what I mean? I stayed with it. And then my trips to New York and LA, I started following Russell around. He had his own dishes on at Catch and all of these little places they put the Russell Simmons salad. I said, I need this. So we just start, just following people and learning. And once you get into it, it's hard to go back. I promise you that. Anybody that's not vegan, once you start feeling the way your body feels, you'll understand what it's all about.
Jermaine, that's a beautiful testimony, and thank you for saying that. We did have fun together and go places and eat and shit, but it's a journey. It's a fun journey. It is. When you find, and I see you now posted all these Atlanta joints, these hot joints that's just opening up.
Yeah.
The reason I wrote this book is because we lost so many friends. I'm sure now Atlanta has been struck the way Queens was struck. And you're younger than me, but I lost 15 friends.
Yeah.
And I lost my very best friend, which made me accelerate the speed of writing this book.
Yes.
We are dying because of our diet. 100% diet, whether it's hypertension, heart disease, diabetes, all these things are caused by animal products. And there's so much fun stuff to eat. I said it's a fun journey.
Mm-hmm.
If you get stuck, I'm in Taco Bell, well, then don't get the hot clog and cheese in your bean burrito. Get the guacamole instead. And then if you get stuck, and there's all kinds of alternatives, but even as we had to find what Jermaine said, how hard it was. Mm-hmm. But now it's easier for you, right?
Yeah, it's a lot of black, we got Slutty Vegan. She basically, almost like a millionaire girl that came from Baltimore, came to Atlanta and, invested in what she saw the lifestyle going towards. She created this burger joint called Slutty Vegan. Now she got 3 locations, black owned in the city of Atlanta, right? We got a plant-based pizzeria that's black owned. We got Soul Vegetarian. Most of all the vegan spots in Atlanta, they all black owned, by the way. So it's a beautiful thing to see black people starting.
It's a very important point.
Mostly all the vegan spots. Mostly all the vegan spots in my city in Atlanta are black owned. And it's amazing to see the black people trying to get their minds right. 100%.
This is a great statement because blacks are 3 times more likely to be vegan than their white counterparts, and no one knows that. Some people keep saying, and not people keep saying, but people say that that's a rich white thing. But there are many ways to be vegan. And in this book we have recipes that are cheaper than if you were to eat the animal product, the heart clogging, disease creating, environment destroying, karmic disaster that is eating of animals. Yeah. There's a lot cheaper way to be vegan than to live that life.
Well, I know that.
And know what's really expensive? The hospital. Fuck. Yeah. And that's where you go. American poison in the animal product is unbelievable and illegal all over the world. But I know
that's crazy.
It's
crazy. Yeah, man.
Brother Gary stopped working with me for 5 years. He came back pre-diabetic.
Oh.
And now he's got a checkup. He's not free, none of that. Now he's vegan. Now he's a vegan chef. Now his whole life has changed. So in those 5 years.
I swear, anybody out there that is young and paying attention to us talk right now, and you don't believe that the vegan lifestyle is for you. I had it the hardest. Believe me, I come from Atlanta. Like I said, it's the South. My mother cooked Sunday dinner for my whole life, right? Me turning vegan almost made me and my mother have a problem with each other because she started thinking I didn't want her food no more, right? And it was that's how religious it was for me to have soul food every Sunday or every Saturday, whatever it is. So I grew up eating as bad as you could possibly eat, and I understand exactly what you're saying. I was eating Waffle House for 10 years straight, every day, and I felt it. I felt it on my body. And soon as when I became vegan, I felt all that shit come off of me, like 100%. So anybody out there that's listening to this, you will definitely feel the difference.
Sure. Jermaine, thank you for the testimony, and thank you for being a part of it. I want to plug you into the Hip Hop Museum.
No, definitely. I'm in. Let me know. Let me know what's happening.
I will, absolutely. And I love you, man. I'm so proud that I know you for all these years, and that we share the name Def.
100. I love you too. Anybody watching, Russell Simmons is Black History. Make sure y'all motherfuckers get that shit right. 100%, man. All right?
I love you, man. Thank you, Jermaine.
Thank you, man. Respect, brother Jermaine. Respect. Now, I think, Russell, I think one of the things that would be very helpful, and I know that we're planning our...
See if Chuck is on
we're planning a rollout for you, Russell, as it relates to the book. But I think that you should wait name there, Russell, you should look at doing a tour with a Jermaine Dupri, a Jay-Z, talking more, because this will help the African American community to consume.
Look at there he is.
I know who that nigga is.
You
know that brother is. You know who that brother is.
I love you.
The mighty Chuck.
You see, Russell checked you real quick on that one.
I know.
I just, hey, Russell. I just don't throw it around like that. Do you know that Russell? When I was making my first album, we had some niggas, in the lyrics. The N word was in some of the lyrics, and Russell was the person that says, "I don't think you should put the N word inside the lyrics." And we removed the 3 to 4 of them that was in the song. So he was actually the first person that really got me apart for, to not put it in the lyrics, but use it in context. Because you can't get rid of the word. You gotta pay attention to the context you in. We all treat it like niggas in white supremacy. So we want to come out and be better than that. But throwing it around like it's a word, it's like calling somebody the P word sometimes. Yeah, that ain't gonna be helpful. It ain't gonna be a good look.
Well, Chuck, let me say this. I didn't tell you this. I said it yesterday. All the activism that I've been involved in since I was a kid came from you. Because I remember saying the Uzi was your words, and the bullets were your words, the Uzi was your mouth, and the Uzi weighs a ton. And when I first got it, I don't know who said it. Either Bill Steffi said he said it. I thought I said it because I was trying to figure out how to frame it, because you were such a political force, and you represented so much, and you didn't have to be one way or the other. You were hip hop to the bone, and hip hop was a culture that was so honest that it represented all sides of our hearts. And so that you were defining yourself as the voice that changed hip hop more than any group and any voice that I've heard in all the years I've been watching. That's right. Was Public Enemy.
Always engaged.
From the Million Man March would not have been what it was.
Well, before the Million Man March, Chuck was.
No, but it wouldn't have been what it was without his.
Yeah.
But I have to speak on the fact, Russell, that as a New Yorker and being an integral part of New York, in the middle of the 1980s. That was R&B. That's Reagan and Bush. Layton. You remember even coming from Queens and Hollis. You remember a time, like I remember a time, like 1973, 74. You really couldn't find a gun on the street that easy. Around 76, 77 in Queens, 78, 79 in Roosevelt and Long Island, all of a sudden, the drug game flipped and changed to a level from weed into cocaine. And all of a sudden, it was easy to get a gun. Because, I mean, in the early 70s, yeah, somebody's pops had a gun who had some Luger from or grandfather from World War II, always in the closet. You go around talking to some young lady and they say, oh, yeah, so-and-so's grandfather got a shotgun in the closet. So you knew those were guns. But the quick access to get a gun in 76 and 77 and 78 and 79, especially by 79, 78, 80, 81. And New York was like, where did these guns come from, man? So then it got even to where the guns got heavier, quicker. Uzi, the Larry Davis situation where the folklore that the cops rolled on him and cornered him and he Uzi'd his way out, which is, which was like I think Israeli machinery or whatever. How did the hood get these guns? So that's why I said, you know what? We in the middle of some war right now, and people seem to know and be familiar with this language. So my Uzi Weighs a Ton became a language that spoke to it, against it, because all of a sudden we got all guns and drugs is raining on us at the same time. I remember it like yesterday. I mean, like all of a sudden, it's a big difference between Queens and Long Island in 71 and 79.
I was in a gang, and when a gunshot went off, everybody ran. Everybody ran. When when we were in the Seven Immortals, and when the gun went off, because nobody had a gun, it was impossible.
Right.
So if a gun went off, and that was pre you're talking about, the whole it'd be a huge gang war. But one gun shut everything down, and as a result, less of us died.
Right.
When they killed Sugar Bear, they hung his colors in the park. We were scared to go out.
Right.
Because a gun.
Right.
So you're right. That was that song, but your work, Chuck, you're being observant and being conscious and making the statements you made and the songs. It was like I was totally transformed. A piece of my heart opened up because you existed, and you did that for an entire Black community. We were wearing gold chains, and we put on red, black, and green medallions. You changed everything.
That came out of something too. Back in the day, Hank Shockley and I, we would throw these events. Griffin and Unity Force and Roger, they used to be the security force. And we would throw these events where a lot of girls come to these events in Long Island. And then, might have some guy go up and work at Roosevelt Field. And first thing he wanted to do is be impressionable and get a gold chain and get in the party. And the party got everybody. So we threw a couple of events and it's like, oh, he come in the party, he getting that shit snatched. So he gets that shit snatched and all of a sudden shit break out into your event. So we got to a point, it's like, look, nobody wear nothing up in here because you can't protect it. You're a pretty boy. You got gold around your neck and shit. You spent all year like getting to go and getting to snatch the first day. You can't get that back. And you're not whooping their ass. You poking the bear. You poking the bear. So we got to the point, it's like, no gold chains in here. None. Take your shit, leave your shit in the car because you can't protect it. So later on when we had the fortunate opportunity, we just magnified what was going on, what we had to do in our local area. If somebody would have came out and ruined one of those Spectrum parties, not only would they have a problem with the scenario, we knew people in Nassau County that worked inside the jail, and we knew all the thugs who cut the parkways off. And the thugs that had cut off the parkways, they had their own situation and their game running. So if a party stopped, you killing their game. So they was like, when you come out here, you got to comply. So we had the thugs and we had the law, kind of like saying, well, public Spectrum City, when they have an event, it's good. It's good for the neighborhood. It's good for the community because we ain't got no problems. The thugs, they calm. The girls feel safe. the music is popping, and thank God for hip hop. That's what
right.
You
what came.
know, Chuck, we were talking earlier, and I had Rocky and Carmen and Jermaine Dupri and others, and we talked about the hip hop museum that's being built. And you say Spectrum City, I almost forgot when you had the song Low Tempo was called, I think, and how you came to be with Def Jam, how Rick heard DMC brought us the tape, and Rick couldn't stop calling you, begging you to join Def Jam. And you're like, I don't know, I'm too old. You probably 21. I'm too old to do this shit. But you were the hero that Rick.
I think, hey Russell, I tell
loved.
people, I tell a lot of cats, man. I said, listen, you might have had a bidding war, but I'm the only one that I know of a note that turned a record deal down for 2 years. And they don't even believe it, Russell.
Rick had your number on the refrigerator, and he would call you constantly, right? And then no one knows this part of the story so well, because I tell it differently from Rick. But he really, 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 he wanted what was alternative about you. And although I loved your first album, and I loved my Uzi Weighs a Ton, I love certain songs, when I heard Rebel Out of Pause, it was my favorite rap record I had ever heard.
Yeah.
There's another story about you bringing the record and you wanted to put it out. I was like, well, let's wait till this album becomes gold, because all the Def Jam things were gold. And it was, you can tell it.
Oh, yeah. Yo, myself and Hank Shockley, who I call the greatest producer of all time because he's crazy, we were at JFK. You was getting ready to go over to London. Getting ready, and to tell you how old this was back in the day, it was Pan Am. Y'all get ready to catch Pan Am to go to London. Running them was getting ready to do some gigantic stadium over there. And me and Hank said, we just want to get you to give us the blessings to put it on B-side. Well, we don't want to put out B-side. We just got a distribution with CBS, and they don't really want to do no 12 inches anyway. It's the album thing. It's like, I said, listen, it won't kill the album. We barely got, we wanted, you did it with LL, with Rock the Bells. You had to, and a lot of people don't even remember this. Remember the Rock the Bells B-side? There's a slower tempo. I said, you did. All we want is a shot like that. So Russell was like, no, you're going to kill the album. No, we ain't going to do it that way. And me, I'm like, well, damn. So finally we go all the way up. Just show you how long ago this was. We go all the way up to the plane door. We ain't even catching the flight. This is how open the airports was back in the day. We go to the plane door. Russell is like, nope, and disappears in the plane. But Joey is right behind him. And Joey turns around and looks at me and Hank and says, put it out. If I was you, I'd put it out. That's all. That's all we needed.
And the song came out, man. It was my favorite. Way you never been on in.
Thank God for Run, because when Run turned around and said, well, I said, we was like, well, Russell ain't going to beat his brother down. So, I mean,
I wasn't going to do shit. Look, we had Run DMC. We used to put out, as a producer, we put out the record we wanted to play because the record company didn't know nothing, and I didn't know nothing. You knew. And so you put out the record you wanted to play, and that record, Chuck, it was the time that you guys took total control of your production. God bless whoever helped you, but when you got control, and it was your family, you made the most alternative, special, Def Jam defining music. Because all the shit we did, whether it be rock and roll guitars, or we like loud alternative sound.
Yeah, but how was we going to listen? We were radio DJs. We honored at the grail of everything. How was we going to be better than? How was we going to be better than Run DMC, Larry Smith, Houdini? There's no way. We have to have our own thing, and I always liked shit that was crazy anyway. Hank would come into my car, my 69 Le Mans, right, with the 68 grill on it, and I would have busted speakers. And Hank the person with like pristine, perfect. I mean, he would make a $2 system sound like $1 million. Me, I'm the opposite. I want shit like so Hank would come in my car and be like, how the hell can you listen to that shit? I got 2 busted speakers in the back. I said, I just like the way this shit sound better, man. It's loud. And the combination of all of our shit together made that. Rebel Without a Pause, when we first demoed it in our studios, the dudes that really co-signed that shit to being crazy was the leaders of the new school. Busta Rhymes and them, every time we were, they would run up the walls. I mean, run up the walls. And we'd be like, sit the fuck down, get out of here. What? And sure enough, every time we go back into trying to create it, they start to, running up the walls. It was Charlie Brown, Dinko D, and Buster that would go fucking crazy. And that's when we knew. Said, these are some high school kids. they must know something that's even making weird.
Like that.
Yeah.
Nothing
yeah.
sound like
yeah.
So I got to go to class. I love you so much. And I want to get you, I know you're already involved, but I want to get everybody in hip hop, the youngsters, the old, involved in helping Rocky deliver his dream for the Universal Hip Hop Museum.
Yes, sir.
Because your story has to be told. I know you probably let Eric Sherman's on. Eric, you too. I'm excited
What's up,
to
E-Dub?
help them deliver the promise. And I got to go to class. I love you so much. What?
But we got to get back truck to have this conversation.
We got to come back.
Yeah.
This is the first time I'm going to edit together and actually put a podcast out. So all the people who came on today and the story of the Hip Hop Museum and that stuff is going to be talked about.
But we have to talk
about it. I got to have a real conversation with you about not only our history together, but your history and how you changed the world, because people don't really know how influential and how important Public Enemy is. And today.
Well, Russell, Russell, it's always a we thing, man. So I think we change the world. It's not it's beyond an individual achievement.
That's another humble person. You notice all the hip hop, they get old and humble. He was always humble.
He's humble, but I tell you one thing: if you're going over that cliff, that nigga's gonna be like, "You ain't going over there, nigga. You ain't going over."
No, yeah, of course. And Brother Gary Muhammad, you think the minister would reprogram and stop using the N-word? Anyway, I love you. God bless you.
All right now. All right. All the best.
Let me close out. Listen, I know I'm late for class. God bless you. Let's edit this so that it can make it our first podcast. Subscribe. What?
Subscribe.
Subscribe to the podcast. Hope you you get all the videos on the screen for the podcast. And thank you, everybody who joined me today. And it was a great pleasure. And
it's all love.
It's all love. Don't eat animals. They'll kill you. You fuck around, it'll be the reason that COVID kills you. So don't eat animals. God bless you.
Do your best.